I used to be very extroverted when I was a kid. And then sometime around middle school, I swapped from being extroverted to a mixture between introverted and extroverted, with probably leaning towards introverted. And I don't know why. And then by the time I became an adult, I became almost entirely introverted. Like, I would much rather prefer just staying home and playing games than doing anything out in public. And yet I've found myself recently, and by recently I mean like within the past 3 or 4 years, recognizing that and wanting to change that. So what I'm about to say is not for people that are introverted and don't want to change it. Because if you're introverted and happy, then more power to you. But if you're like me, where you've noticed that you became introverted over a period of time, and yet you craved how it was when you were extroverted, I don't want to say force yourself, but just say yes to more stuff and go talk with people. Because the more you do that, the more you realize everything you're scared of is not actually there. It's literally all in your head. Everything that worries you, if you make a fool out of yourself, if you make a joke that nobody laughs at, which I've done several times. I've made a joke where no one laughs and it almost becomes uncomfortable. But it doesn't matter. And just getting comfortable in the uncomfortableness has been one of the best things that I've done recently. And this is something I've been working on for like 4 years. And I'm still working on it. I'm not good at it right now. I still wish that I was in a better place than where I am right now. I wish that I could go do more stuff, but I feel like I'm heading in the right direction. You know what I mean? So if anybody feels similarly, I really encourage you, just take small steps. Actually going out and doing, rather than like watching videos about how to break that fear or thinking about it and then never doing anything. That's been the number one thing that's helped me. I agree, Googie, I agree. Being extroverted genuinely tires me out. After I spend enough time around people, I find myself literally shutting down. Whereas it's not that I can't talk, it's that I just don't want to anymore. I don't want to socialize anymore. I don't want to talk anymore because it's taxing on me. However, the more that I go do it and the more comfortable I get doing it, the longer that I'm able to kind of last, I will say, and the more fun that I have. Alric said, my non-existent friend inviting me to somewhere. If there is someone who doesn't have friends that are inviting them out, there's apps like Meetup. There's apps like Eventbrite. There's several different apps where just things are happening. There's places where people just meet up. Like there's clubs or you don't necessarily have to know anybody. Matter of fact, I've gone to meetups where I've known no one. And it's almost more freeing because there you can legit say anything and do whatever you want and say whatever you want and just be your authentic self. Because if somebody there doesn't like who you are, number one, it doesn't matter. It genuinely doesn't matter. And number two, you're probably never going to see them again. You know what I mean? So you don't necessarily have to, nobody needs to invite you anywhere for you to go out and do something that you enjoy doing. Believe me, trust me, I recognize it's way easier said than done. Even now, if there's 3 things that I want to go to, I'll probably go to like 1 out of 3 of them. So I know that it's difficult, but it is possible. I can't go some public places where I don't know anything. I mean, I feel like this should go without saying, but you should be an adult. All the advice that I'm giving is for adults. I can't just stay at home and watch Trevor Tree VODs all day. I'm going to pretend that everything you're saying is 100% serious because on the off chance that there is someone that is thinking that, I don't want them to get the wrong message. No, I'm saying that only for people that are introverted but would like to be more extroverted. Again, if you are introverted and you're happy doing that, that's fine. But if you do want to be more extroverted, then definitely not. No. Hey, Trev, we should meet up here in Spain. I don't know if you're being serious. No, I'm not going to be meeting with any of my viewers. I feel like that should be pretty self-explanatory. If you guys want me to explain why, I will. It's going to be an uncomfortable conversation. I like being my own a lot. Doesn't mean I never want to meet up with people, but personally, I don't want to do it very often. Yeah, I agree. If I'm alone and just doing whatever I want, I feel like I can recharge. Introverts could socialize and seem totally extroverted in a group, but then members go home happy. The introvert goes home and completely implodes and crashes. I guess it just depends. It just depends on the scenario that I'm in. I used to be the type of person that when I would go out and be in social situations and join social groups, my energy would slowly die. And then by the time I left, I would be exhausted. I would feel like I would need to recharge. I'm getting to the point where no matter how much time I spend in a social situation, because I'm just letting go of all of my anxieties and letting go of all of the what ifs and what if people don't like me and what if all that, because I'm just learning to just be like, all of those thoughts just do not matter. And I'm like accepting that, I'm getting a lot more comfortable and able to be a lot more energized throughout an entire social gathering. And the only thing that's helping with that is just by continuing to do stuff. I'm a big introvert, but I really want friends, and going online just to chat with people and it is great so far. I hope one day I can become confident enough to find people in person to meet. That's great. I would say that's fantastic. Just from my own personal experience, I do think it is important for myself, for me. I think it's important to also have a group of people that I can meet up with regularly in person, because in my experience personally, I'm not saying this is not me judging anybody. I'm just saying in my experience personally, when I have tended to rely on only talking with people in Discord, only meeting people in voice chat and things like that, I found myself much less happy than when I was actually going out and making real physical connections with people. And that's just personal. I don't know why that is. I'm not smart enough to know why that is. I can't sit here and pretend like I know why. All I know is that that was the case. When I started being able to have more meaningful and frequent meetups with people in person, my life became happier. And that's just me. That's just me. Again, I was somebody who was very introverted that wanted to be more extroverted. That was my, you know what I mean? I don't think it should be a surprise if that's the case. I'm an introvert because I've never had any good experience with people, mostly in school. So I've never had any friends. So I'm in my house most of the time. Yeah, I mean, same. I have been there. Genuinely. I studied abroad in Spain for 3.5 months, and I've always found it easier to socialize with people that are older than me. I think because I've had 2 older siblings. So when I went to Spain, I was placed with a bunch of people that were my age, aka early 20s, upper teens, so 19, 18, however old they were. Everyone was an adult. But when I went there, I didn't really click with anybody. So what ended up happening for the 3.5 months that I was in Spain is that I would have a small group of people that I would sometimes hang out with, either individually or in a group. I would be able to hang out with these people and go clubbing or whatever. But what tended to happen mostly was because I was so uncomfortable and didn't really click with anyone, I didn't really have any friends, genuinely. I didn't really have any actual good friends. I would say I had like kind of friends, but not good friends. And at the end of the semester, I remember them saying, look at the friends that you've made, the lifelong friends you've made now that you've been here. And I was like looking around and I'm like, I would say none of these people are my friend, because like they didn't want to be, you know what I mean? I just didn't click with anybody. So I have been there, but I will tell you right now, that's not always the case. If I would have left that experience thinking every experience that I have from now on is going to be like that, then I probably would agree with you. But because I forced myself to go out there and learn how to socialize with people better and learn to find people that click with me and being comfortable being my authentic self. And if someone doesn't like my authentic self, moving on, that's okay. I'm glad I was able to learn a little bit about you. I'm gone. It's totally fine. We don't have to be friends. But like just being more comfortable being myself and then attracting people that do like my authentic self has been such a big milestone. In fact, I can almost guarantee you that there's many people out there that are just like you. You know what I mean? And you can connect with people. Honestly, for me, it's the opposite, where most of the time I prefer hanging out with people over something like a Discord call, because if I ever feel exhausted or overwhelmed, I can just disconnect from the call and be on my own. If you like doing that and you're genuinely happy doing that, then that's great. That's fantastic. That's why I'm trying to be very clear about saying this is my personal journey that I'm sharing with you. I'm not saying anything else is better or worse. I just never seem to find those people. Like, bro, I want friends. Where are you guys? Please show yourself. Here's what I will say. Think about how many people in here are thinking that right now. Most of the time, people that think that are going to choose to also not leave their house. So when you ask the question, where are these people that are like me? The people that are like you are also staying inside. Of course, you're going to have guys, 85% of the interactions that I have are interactions that I'm like, I could go without doing this. I could take or leave talking to this person right now. But the 15% that you do meet are going to be cool. You know what I mean? They are going to be interesting and nice, and you're going to like them. If there's one message that I could spread, it would be the more people that want to be more extroverted. Again, I'm not saying anything about people that are introverted and like being introverted. That's totally fine. But the more people that are introverted that want to be extroverted, that we can get to actually go out and meet each other, the better that I think it will be. And especially with how much people are using ChatGPT as a therapist or whatever, you know what I mean? I feel like I can't meet new people because no one has much in common. I only talk to people who I've known since I was a child. That's a little bit of hometownism. That's not an actual ism, but I used to do that too. I would frequently go back home to a super small town when I was home, and I would just be talking to the same people, and the same people would be doing the same things, and I would feel kind of stuck. And so what helped me was leaving and kind of forcing myself to go meet new people. Now, could you stay in the same spot you're in and just go make new experiences and go meet new people? Yes. But having something very comfortable and easy to do here, which in my opinion was hanging out with the same people that I've been hanging out with that are doing the exact same thing that's not really making me happy, is so much easier to just latch onto that than it is to go do new things and go do the uncomfortable thing. So just leaving and forcing yourself to not be able to fall back on that, not having that crutch made it a lot easier. I end up being too clingy and pushing people away. Then when they talk to me, sometimes I wouldn't be able to just talk and push them away myself. Everything you guys are saying, I feel like I've personally lived. I've totally had the thought before of like, man, I really like this person. Like this person could potentially be like my best friend if we continue talking. And just like being so caught up in my own mind of, wait, what if I come off as like too energetic and too willing to be friends? Maybe I need to be a little bit more reserved. You know what I mean? This is what's helped me. This is what's helped me. When I just did what I want and just voiced my opinion, you know, not necessarily cared so much about what they were thinking of me and just kind of said and did what I wanted and just presented my authentic self, that's when things tended to click the best for me, personally. Okay, I'm moving on.
Comfortable, but also insanely overwhelmed.
You know, okay, wait. I know that I know that I've only played 1 second of this. I may as well not even name this video reacting to Case's video. I may as well just name it like something, like most of this video hasn't even been reacting to this.